It's about to go down.
You are listening to WPRD 98.3 GCOM Radio, powered by Lyfeblood.com and hosted by
You are listening to the incredible
Nova Phoenix and LK Mason.
Welcome back, y'all. This is your host, Nova Phoenix, and this is WPRD 98.3 GCOM Radio, and we have another episode for your ears. This time around, we have a special guest, Congressmember Helen Rucker, coming out of Warren, Ohio, just to talk about the GM shutdown in Lordstown, Ohio, and we're just gonna see what's going on the ground with the people and with the local officials or local politicians, and we're just gonna get into some music too. So without further ado, let's just get right into the phone zone. All right, y'all, enjoy the show.
Hello.
You're in the phone zone with Nova Phoenix and LK Mason on GCOM Radio.
Welcome all. This is WPRD 98.3 GCOM Radio. This is your host, Nova Phoenix, along with the lovely lady, LK Mason. What's up, lady?
Everybody.
Okay. I'm sorry, folks, for the little cold. I'm being clear. But right now, we are in the phone zone. For the show, we have an important development happening in Ohio and other communities. As you've already heard in other news sources, GM is planning to close several assembly plants in one particular town called Lordstown, Ohio. We'll be talking about GM's actions, the immediate responses from the surrounding towns on the shutdown, and what cascading effects it will have on the future. Our guest to speak on these matters is Council Member at Large, Helen Rucker. She's a part of the Warren City Council for 20 years and views herself as the council person who drives home the common sense issues, which we're about to get into right now. So welcome, Council Member Helen Rucker. How are you?
Welcome. I'm glad to be here with you guys this morning.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining the show. Thank you. So we are going to get into this now. Of course, as everyone has heard, GM has shut down one of the plants in Ohio in Lordstown, along with a plant in Detroit and one in Oshawa, Canada. And there are several others that they are planning in 2019. So, are there any updates on the attitude of the GM shutdown amongst the people and city officials, Ms. Rucker?
Not at this point. What union members are trying to do is find out what it means directly for them, if they will be able to transfer. However, per their contracts, most of them will. They can go to other plants that are hiring. At this point, they're trying to see if there's enough openings in different plants that they can flow into.
Right.
And then there's other ones who doesn't have 10 years or more, and so those people are really kind of up in the air exactly what it means for them.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. So for those that are transferring it to other plants, that could just be a small percentage of people. With the majority of folks that worked at Lordstown will be home, trying to find something else. Okay.
Right.
Now, Lordstown is about 20, 30 minutes north of Warren, Ohio. And I'm sure that it affects a lot of not just people in Lordstown, but also the outskirts of the outside of Lordstown in every direction. Now, Mayor Arnold Hill says that the people are working with it. And they said they have food pantry programs that are going to be set up to help people that need food, such and so forth. Any other programs that are happening to kind of help people with this unfortunate turn?
They're setting up different programs as we speak. Food banks are setting up and being prepared for additional people throughout the winter. But you know something, General Motors affects everybody because General Motors is one of our largest charity contributors.
Yes.
And so the money that they give United Way and the Food Bank and all of our institutions in Trumbull County is greatly going to be affected. We saw that effect when Delphi closed. And General Motors is going to be a definite big flow. So you're talking about providing assistance to some of the people who gave the most in our county. It's a real sad situation. So that's why we're really hoping, and we're sending letters and doing whatever we can to contact those executives and letting them know just what this means to us. Now, General Motors has had a history of closing plants throughout the nation, and we understand that. But in this area, we have it's been a traumatic leak. We're very strategically located. We have an interstate connection, and General Motors is about 700 miles from any place in the nation. It's in a good location for any kind of transportation source, and so maybe they'll look at that. Our workforce is trained and ready, and so maybe they'll look at that and bring us a new product.
Okay, I hear you. Mayor Arnold Hill, he's the Lordstown mayor. Don't want to get it mixed up with Warren. He's Lordstown mayor, and he says that he was not totally surprised the shutdown happened. Now, do you know of any talks for any restructuring or changes of facility upgrades for the ex-employees to return to work at that plant? I'm surprised he said he wasn't totally surprised. I want to know, what made him say that he wasn't totally surprised. But I'm wondering.
We've heard rumors for the past year. We saw General Motors shut down on the third shift, and then they shut down the second shift. And there's been rumors that the plant may be closing. I believe some municipalities have looked at that and saw the numbers like we did in Warren and saw just what the effect of it would be. We had a discussion in our last meeting at council on just what those effects would be, and how we will maintain. We provide water to General Motors, and so we wanted to know what just what we're losing, which is about $500,000. But there's a new plant out there, the Energy Center, that's just built, and it will provide some additional revenue to us. Right. So while we will get hit, we'll survive. This area, and I have to say this area was hit before anybody else in the country was hit. We got hit with steel over and over, and then we started getting hit with the auto industry. So we know how to survive through it. What we're asking for now is quit with the promises and give us some help.
Right.
So, yeah, it's time.
Well, GM have any plans for rebuilding or retrofitting the assembly warehouse, or I'm sorry, not warehouse, but the plant to fit for these new products that they're talking about?
They haven't asked for that. Usually when they're restructuring and retooling, they ask for a tax abatement. They have not as of yet.
Okay.
I don't think they've ever been denied one. So we don't know. We don't know what that means.
Okay. Well, I spoke to David Caldwell. He's the GM manager of corporate relations, and he mentioned to me that it wasn't a shutdown, but it was more of a discontinuation of a particular product. I find that interesting as far as the word usage, but it's not like it's shoelaces. This is disrupting thousands of lives. Now, do you think it has anything to do with Trump's trade war with foreign countries on steel and aluminum, like you mentioned before?
I definitely think there's a strong link. That trade deal, the tariffs that they're charging, costing companies like General Motors $1 billion a year. And the executives warned the president that it would be devastating to them if he went forward. And he went forward anyway. You know, I was watching a show the other day where it talked about how easy it is for corporations to leave our country without paying taxes, you know, on their products. And if they did the same work, if they built here and manufactured here, it would cost them millions of dollars in taxes. That's not being company friendly. And that's not helping American people because we buy the vehicles that we make, you know. And so it has a great impact.
Right. I hear you. Now, they did say, GM, in June, according to a Yahoo article, that that this would have, it will slim down GM considerably. And the White House, of course, didn't listen to any degree. They thought it was just smoke and mirrors of what they were talking about. Now, the Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown was also trying to kind of introduce a new bill called American Cars, American Jobs Act in August because they were moving a plant in Mexico. Now, the United Auto Workers Union are in full support of this. How's that coming along, or anything of that sort, as far as how this bill is being introduced for the area, or just and it's nationwide in general?
The union members, the union leadership is lobbying very hard in support of Senator Brown's bill, and Tim Ryan has joined in that support. Good thing, all the municipalities are in support. We just have to see if our president has not only our president, but we also have to see if that House and that Senate has a sympathetic ear to the auto industry.
Right.
Let me ask her something real quick, because she brought up Congressman Tim Ryan, and I was just getting ready to ask her something about him and Senator Sean O'Brien. I had sent Sean O'Brien email, but I haven't spoken to him in years, and I don't even know if that's still his personal email address. Reaching out to him to see if maybe he would want to come on the show and, you know, have a discussion with us about this as well. Have you heard anything about their thoughts on this and what their plans on? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I haven't heard from State Senator O'Brien, but I have heard that Congressman Ryan has been very open, and he's angry. He's been in contact with the GM leadership, as also with the president and leaders on the House, in the House. Mm-hmm. So he's working as hard as he can. So I think our union leadership and our employees of General Motors know that they can count on Tim Ryan's support and Sherrod Brown. Yeah, I think, and I can honestly say that Representative Michael O'Brien and Senator Sean O'Brien, everybody here is in support of General Motors and those employees, and them bringing a product. And when you was talking earlier about the executive who said that might be what they're looking for, it's a good possibility, because we've been here before with that Lordstown plant where it went idle and they retooled. Mm-hmm. So we're hoping that that's the case here too. You know, someone said on the radio that for every one General Motors employee, there are 9 employees throughout this valley, the Mahoney Valley, who are directly infected because they work for a supplier. So there's a lot of people affected. Mm-hmm.
So as far as meeting with the city officials, are they planning to go out into Lordstown or other areas to kind of speak with the people directly on how they're going to, work with GM, or how the GM is going to get restarted with the product, and any of that down the road?
Yeah, there'll be places where the union will be contacting all the employees and letting them know where the information sites and and times will be, so they can get direct information about their jobs and their benefits.
Okay.
Also, the elected people will be coming back periodically and reporting when they talk to executives, or if they talk to the president, or how the House and the Senate feels about bringing some legislation if need be. We don't have President Obama here, who bailed General Motors out, and a lot of people criticize General Motors about taking that money. They have to remember that General Motors also paid that money back. And so the taxpayers are made whole. And is this a company that we could trust, that we have to give another bailout, or we have to change those tariffs that the president has imposed? That General Motors and Ford are two companies that they're ours, they're America. And we should invest in them, and we should keep them afloat as much as we can. Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah. Are any people stopping you in the streets and trying to get your ear and say, "Hey, what are you guys going to do about this?" Is it
people always, I was not only did I work at Delphi Factory, I was a union rep, and people always stop me and ask me, "What does this mean?" or "Where do I go for this information or certain information?" And I've been out of there for almost 20 years. But I could still direct them to where they're supposed to go for information. However, I might not know the up-to-date thing. But we're all willing to help wherever we can. And our organizations, the General Motors gave so much to, they're all on board for helping the employees.
Okay.
Everybody.
GM Lordstown is UAW, right?
Yes. Yes, the UAW. I come out of an IUE plant. And I think this is a hard lesson for people, because when the steel workers went, they said, "Well, it's not us," And then when the IUE went, they said, "It's not us." But it's always us, because we're all in it together. And so we just reach out. And one thing that's good about Trumbull County and the Mahoney Valley is that when there's some trouble, people will come on board and help where there's needed. And that's one of our greatest assets.
Yes, that is Congressmember Helen Rucker from Warren, Ohio, talking about this GM shutdown. And it's going to be felt for years to come. So we have more in store into the second segment. But before we do that, we're going to get into our first song of the show. And the artist is Natasha Renee from Akron, Ohio. Shout out to Ohio. And her song is called Wrong Way. Check it out, y'all. Listen up.
Listen up. Turn up.
You're listening to GCOM Radio.
Each morning when I open my eyes, I thank God for another day. Can't waste it, 'cause time is flying by. Wanna live before I die. Gotta get up and go. I must admit it, I'm kind of afraid. I don't know which road I should take. No one said it would be this hard. So I gotta choose the way. Don't wanna go, don't wanna go, don't wanna go the wrong way. No, don't wanna go, don't wanna go, don't wanna go, don't wanna go the wrong way. This is GCOM Radio, powered by Lyfeblood.com. Come join, be a lifer. Practice dollar power and build financial independence.
Okay, we are back. We just heard Natasha Williams from Akron, Ohio. Wrong Way. Ohio's representing as always. So we're going to come into this second segment, and we're going to get into more of GM, kind of like, you know, the whole operations thing, and trying to get some feedback. Now, you did say you were a GM member some time ago, and could you tell us a little bit about that?
I started at GM Packard Electric in 1972, and I worked for them for 26 years, and they sold Packard to Delphi, and we became IUE CWA members. So I worked a total of 36 years at Delphi Packard, but when I retired, when the company dissolved, and we had to leave. You know, I left and I was underage of retirement age, but I had 36 years and I was ready to go. I can tell you that most of our membership that had seniority like mine, we left so that the younger workers could stay.
Right.
And yeah, so we went out the door, and they told us at the time that they advised us that if we were going to save our pensions, that we better go. And so we went, and then after we were out the door about 6 months, then the government, our pensions was turned over to the PGB, and they cut our pensions virtually in half.
Wow.
So, but you know, God is good, and
wow.
We had good contracts with General Motors and with Delphi, and so we make it, we survive, you know. And we're used to it because in this valley, it happened to the steel workers, stuff before us. And there were people, organizations, and stuff that helped us. But the first thing that people saw was the loss of charitable contributions. And so organizations started to really suffer and had to reach out to other government agencies to make up the difference for the money that they were receiving from the Delphi people. Mm-hmm. That, to me, is a great concern about what's happening at General Motors.
Right.
What was the response? What was the government's response? For sure, people were screaming to their throats got sore. I mean, what was the response? Was cutting your pension in half?
There was no response. This is it. This is what you're gonna get, and be glad you're getting it, because remember, when Delphi dissolved, there was no company. There was no union. So nobody was really representing us. We were just out there. And luckily, we had a contract with General Motors that said that we were supposed to get a certain amount of money. And when the government did come back and say that they had paid us too much money at the beginning of our retirements, General Motors did come back and honor that difference. And they paid the government that difference, which was a tremendous help.
Right.
Right. A lot of people, you know, but most of us with the seniority like I had raised our children and sent them off to college and done all those things. And so we needed to just be sure that we were secure. And we kept our health care. Well, some of us, we were given the opportunity to choose whether we wanted to stay with the General Motors health care plan and pay a higher premium, or whether we wanted to go out and find other insurance. And I chose to stay with General Motors, which I'm glad I did, because it was one of it remained constant. It didn't escalate every year. And so
and this didn't hit the news? That the government was cutting. This didn't hit the news that the government was cutting your employees' pension in half?
Well, I tell you, when a company has to turn its pension plan over to the government for them to monitor, you don't have any say about anything. You know, our salary employees are still fighting because they didn't get their pensions.
Wow.
And so they've been fighting for 10 years, because they didn't get a pension, you know. And so you don't get to say anything. Whatever they tell you is going to be your pension amount. That's it. There's no negotiating, you know. You can call them up and say, do you have this amount right? Because you can give them some other variables of your personal situation, and it may change. But on the whole, there's no negotiating. And there's nobody to negotiate with.
Okay. Go ahead.
There's nobody to negotiate on your behalf, because when it's turned over to the government, you have no union representation.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Just to be clear, no union representation, and you guys are just left out in the cold.
Yeah, we were. But in this situation, because we were Delphi, you know, they said, you're Delphi, you're not General Motors any longer. I don't believe that the General Motors employees will have that problem that we had at Delphi, because they are General Motors employees from start to finish. And General Motors has a contract with that union, and they will abide by it. I believe that.
Okay. Well, I read an article that Michigan Strategic Fund was approving $1 billion in tax incentives for corporations to build a variety of business and operations accelerators in Michigan, including Ford Motor Company, that's creating an R&D, research and development facility in Corktown campus. Is there any program or funding in Ohio that can jumpstart the economy and job growth in the area? Anything similar?
I'm kind of laughing because one of our problems in the area has been with this Republican-led state house and governor. It's entrepreneurship. Now, there are some programs, and they're saying now that they're going to lead General Motors employees into job training and entrepreneurship, which means that they'll have to pump more money into those programs. And it's a godsend if they do, but for me, it's something I have to see first.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm an advocate of entrepreneurship, and I've pushed and worked most of my elected life on minority entrepreneurship in the state of Ohio. I find it still lacking. So excuse me if I'm not gung-ho for the governor's plan to bring entrepreneurship to anybody on a lower level.
Well, this is key. I mean, with GM closing their plants, and people are pretty much trying to figure out what is going to be their next step. Entrepreneurship is usually a choice that people make because they want to go out on their own. So I can't see how.
And they'll need that. They'll need that, and they'll need job training. But for Ohio to be able to do that means Ohio is going to have to put additional money and manpower in the program. That part, to me, is I don't have any detail to, so I'm going to wait to see how they would direct that. You know, they've been working a program to aid our veterans, and it's pretty good. And I'm hoping that they're sincere about really just helping this grassroots General Motors employees, not only General Motors. Like I said, it's 9 other people who are involved in this as well. So when you're helping General Motors people, state of Ohio, does that mean that the spinoff from those suppliers are going to be part of this help too?
Right. Right. So I have a question. I forgot to ask you this earlier. I know I saw in the news where some of the union leaders were headed to Detroit. I think it was on Friday. Do we know what they hope to accomplish with that meeting with everyone in Detroit? And have they returned? Have you heard any, tricklings of what that was about?
No, other than from Tim Ryan when he talked, I think usually the matrix is that you go and you state your case about the importance of this plant in the area and about the Valley's commitment to the company. We may have to give up some things and make some sacrifices for GM. Are we willing to do that? Well, that'll be up to our state and federal legislators to see what those are. And will the House of Representatives and the Senate help General Motors with some funding if they need it? So whatever they need, these two sides are going to get together in D.C. and talk about it. And I'm glad that it happened so quickly. So that'll be it. And they'll come back, hopefully. They'll come back, and next week I hope we hear some of that Monday at Warren City Council meeting.
Okay.
The results of that meeting and just what their general feeling about it is.
Yes, and that was Congressmember Helen Rucker continuing to talk about the GM shutdown. If Michigan can get $1 billion in tax incentives to kind of jumpstart the economy and giving out to all these companies, I'm sure Ohio can figure something out too for the people as well, right? I'm sure, right? Wink, wink. Yep, right. Senator Sherrod Brown, don't you think? Yeah, but that's something to talk about. But we're going to get into this next song, and her name is Olivia King from Rhode Island. She has a song, Over You, a remix, but this joint is fire, so check it out.
Yeah. City. I be so good with that white girl, they be thinking I'm Jeezy. You know I love you, Olivia, right?
Soon as I'm done begging for your love, you come around, realize I finally had enough. I walk away and you acting wise. I ain't built like that. Stressing over you. Who you trying to fool? I am not the same, baby. I can't let it go. I'm made of my own, 'cause I finally over you. Finally over you. Finally over you. Even though my heart is begging through, I'm better without you. Boy, you broke my heart in two, but I'm finally over you. So don't come looking around for me. Finally over you.
You say you over it. You say you knew that I wasn't the man that you would've grew older with. Man, you on some crown on my shoulder shit. Arguments turning, you calling me vulgar shit. First thing in the morning, before I had Folgers, I already told you that this is the reason that I don't come over. But you say you over me. Lying ass. I keep telling myself that you'll leave me, but it's one problem, I don't believe me. Leaving a nigga like me is not easy. You say you love me, but I'm not Stevie. I be so good with that white girl, they be thinking I'm Jeezy. One dose of me, you'll be addicted, girl, you're gonna need me. City.
Cause I be confused. I ain't built like that. Stressing over you. Who you trying to fool? I am not the same, baby. I can't let it go. I'm made of my own, 'cause I finally over you.
It's 98.3 GCOM Radio.
Light them up.
Here's another bang
Listen.
for your ears.
No, I'm better without you. Boy, you broke my heart in two, but I'm finally over you. So don't come looking around for me. Finally over you. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, it's so you and I. You danced around but didn't lead me. Thought our love could last the sun till the end of time, but this time it changed everything. I am not the same, baby. I can't let it go. I'm made on my own, 'cause I finally over you. Finally
is the
GCOM Radio.
the hood favorite. You want to know who the best is?
It's WPRD 98.3.
Okay, so we're returning from Olivia King from Rhode Island, Over You, beautiful song. We're talking with Councilmember Ms. Rucker about the GM shutdown, and we just have a couple more questions for you, Ms. Rucker. Okay, so we know that Detroit in particular suffered greatly over the past decades from so many corporations and other politics involved with Detroit, and it kind of like crushed its economy. And especially in these times of the internet and globalization, we know how it can be hard for a state to be competitive in the global market. How do we ensure these communities that to stay employed and are able to handle any radical employment changes or shifts in Ohio?
You know, most cities like ours, this is the end of our fiscal year, and we're looking at our budgets. We've done some hiring of police and fire, which is the top of our pay scale, but we just came through a terrible financial crisis, and we're just getting our head above water. So I think that most of the townships and cities will be looking at their budgets and seeing just how the loss of General Motors is going to affect us financially. You know, even though we're used to surviving and scraping, this is still going to be a blow to everybody, every location. I know Detroit has suffered that, but I think this Mahoney Valley has suffered a lot longer. And so we are already getting ready to make up the difference with, like we were talking about, entrepreneurship and bringing new businesses to our area and doing things a little bit different than we've done in the past to save money for our taxpayers. I think everybody else is going to be doing the same thing. So the effect of it won't be detrimental. The city of Lordstown is in such a wonderful location, and it's attractive to new business growth. And I think that, you know, some of the people who are very talented in bringing new business to that area already, we're just going to push a little harder and try to bring a little bit more. And it's something that we're used to doing. So I think we'll fare okay, but we don't want to be okay. That's how we've been so far through all the steel workers and those jobs. We want to have a vibrant economic environment, and so that's why we're looking at the effects of these tariffs and what the next president, or whether this current president is going to get reelected, and what they're planning on bringing to our valley. Because we've heard promise after promise after promise, and we haven't been getting the results of them. So it's going to be a crucial issue going forward. That we're at the table and we get a piece of that pie.
Now back to GM. If the shutdown was because they were discontinuing the Chevy Cruze, and they said they weren't selling, and GM wanted to make an adjustment, how come the executives didn't pre-plan or execute a new line within the factory so there could be a smooth transition into this new product?
Right. You know, that's what's so unusual about this, because General Motors have said that what their future plans were in the past, that they were going to idle so that they could bring a new product or something when they did in the past. This time, they didn't say that. They said that they were shutting 5 plants, and that's all they said.
Right.
And they haven't put any effort going forward to letting the municipalities know that we're going to need tax abatements or we're going to need additional water or whatever. They haven't said anything. So I think that's what our legislators are going to Washington to find out. What's your plan? And what do we need to do to help it?
Right. Now, they're saying there was a Reuters reporter by the name of David Sheverson. He said that 54 out of 54,000 salary jobs, GM is going to cut 15%, about 8,000 jobs. Also, 8,000 production jobs at 5 plants, including 2 supporting plants, as well as 2 additional plants outside of North America by 2019. So we're going through a serious reorganization and a whittling down of employees here. So this is just the beginning. So I'm hoping that it's just not Warren, Ohio, Lordstown, but pretty much everybody that goes to D.C. to figure out we're going to go through a massive change within these areas to supply so many jobs to people. And I'm hoping that it will trickle down to city council and talking with folks and the mayors and say, okay, this is how we're going to soften the blow, if not totally replace every job. You know what I mean? So what's your take on that?
Oh, well, my take on that is we've heard the last 25 years about the elimination of middle class, and now we see it happening. And we can't sit idly by as citizens of this country and let people who don't feel the effects and know what it means to lose a job chart our destiny. We have to be vocal. We have to talk to our legislators and let them know that American companies doing business and manufacturing overseas is a no. It has to be a no if it doesn't benefit American workers. American workers on an assembly line at General Motors or any plant cannot compete with a $3 wage in Mexico. You can't compete with the thing. So let's level this playing field and make it fair to everybody, because we're supposed to still buy that product at the prices that they charge with no jobs. That's unreal. And so to be realistic, the American people have to be more vocal and tell the government what kind of business you want to do in the United States. We just let it happen to the miners, and we let it happen to the steel workers, and we turn a deaf eye to it. But if we all stood together, it wouldn't happen. And so that's what we have to do. It's on us.
You better speak on it, Miss Helen. Speak.
Because I noticed through, looking how this is turning out, it looks like not just GM, but there are a lot of other car companies. They're discontinuing sedans altogether. So they will no longer be sold in America. The Buick LaCrosse, the Chevrolet Volt, the Chevrolet Cruze, Chevrolet Impala, the Cadillac CT6, the Cadillac STS will all be discontinued in the U.S. by 2019. Even Ford and Fiat are planning to discontinue their cars, their products in North America. So
but we've been through this before, because we saw with the oil embargo when they discontinued building the big cars and they started building the small cars and electric cars. Now the gas prices have gone down, and it's a flip. Now they're bringing the bigger cars and SUVs back. But that doesn't mean that there's not a fit. Retailor it. We still have work to do, and our workers are still capable of doing that right here in this country. But we can't do it if we're faced with low or no taxes for these corporations and tariffs that hurt our corporations. The president talks about America first. Let's be real about it and do America first. And that means that it doesn't make it hard on other countries to do business with us. But what it means is making it fair for American employees.
Because I don't see.
I'm on my soapbox. I'm gonna get off my soapbox right now. I feel strong about it because I've worked so long in the industry, and I saw our products leaving the plant and going to Mexico, and it was for no other reason but cheap labor.
Right.
And I turned around as an employee. I turned around and bought the product that took my job.
Right. That's why I feel it would be necessary for there to be a radical change in how we see for the jobs of the 21st century. It seems like it's like trying to hold back a 30-foot wave. It's not going to stop. They're going to continue to outsource and send these products overseas to China and to Mexico my thing is, how are we going to deal with the people that are left without jobs and prepare them for the jobs of the 21st century? And how do we change that employment landscape? That employer, I mean, how are they going to deal with that? And
I think we have to look at legislators like Sherrod Brown. Sherrod is consistent, and Sherrod has a plan, and he's not steamrolling. He really is coming from an informed position on our direction. I think we should examine his some of the things that he's saying and move forward with it. He's the type of legislator that's fighting for working people, and those are the people that we need to get behind and see if their plan is viable and if it's going to work, and then pull our other legislators to join in.
All right.
And like you said, it's a radical change, but it's one we have to take. I just left my country I love, Jamaica, and I was sitting there, and I've been going for 20 years, and I was sitting there really looking at this country, and it just hit me. There's no real middle class. This is what it looks like and to be in a country without a middle class. You're either rich or you're poor in Jamaica. You know, we don't want we don't want that for America.
Right.
You know, where we're, you know, that those tourist companies are service countries, and I heard rumors that that's how they want America to be, a service country. We want to be a manufacturing country. We want to be innovative and forward-thinking, and just like we were back in the 40s and 50s when all this stuff was created. So it's going to take radical change, and it's going to take millennials like you guys to start that and keep it moving.
Right. I see. I see there are some things that we're not going to go back on. I think certain things have been left, and they're not going to come back. And I'm willing, as a person in 2018. I'm no spring chicken. You know, I'm 41, but at the same time, you know, I see my life heading in another direction as far as what employment will be. You know, what I face as a citizen in the United States. You know, what is that going to look like in the next 10, 15, 20 years? Especially, you know, all people, young people with young families, and they have kids that are going into high school, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do next. And that's what I think about when I think about Ohio and Detroit and Michigan and every place affected by the changing landscape of these jobs and how they're not coming back, and we have to face it in a whole new way. That's why I'm hoping that the legislatures, our elected officials can say, you know what, this is what's happening. We have to prepare the people. This may not come back. So how do we replace these same jobs with something that is going to last people for the next 25, 50 years? I was watching this one program, and the CEO said, listen, if I bring back my T-shirt, I think he was running a clothing business, and he said, if I bring it back to the States, I'm going to go out of business in a year. I have to send it over and be competitive over to China.
Yeah.
So what do we do with that? And I'm hoping that
I'm not really sure.
elected officials do that.
I'm not really sure either, but I go back to when people first come to this country and they built America brick by brick, by neighborhood by neighborhood, by city. And they were really vocal. That was one of the most important things. They let their local legislators know what they wanted for their city, and that's the only thing that keep legislators moving. You're not saying anything to us. We think everything is all right.
Right.
And so it really, you really have to state what you want for your location. You know, have you noticed that some locations are doing very well? Silicon Valley, they chiseled out a market for themselves, and they're doing very well. And those legislators that have pushed that through, and I have to put this all on the back of the legislators because that's the driving force. They pushed that through because that's what their people demanded that they delivered.
Right.
We've been complacent in Mahoney County, in Mahoney Valley. We've been complacent. We said wait and wait and wait, you know. We need to just demand. We're at the point where we need to demand. We have great waterways. We have great infrastructure. And we have talented workforce. And so that's what we need to try and tell our legislators. These are the people we need to put to work. We can bring in transportation of any kind, and we want trucks on our highways. We want to do some wind projects or energy projects. We have to just drive that to every legislator so he knows not to even come home because
unless you have a plan, right?
In your hand. Right.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. Well, all right. We are going to go into the last song, and we appreciate Miss Council Member Helen Rucker for coming and talking about what's happening in Ohio and other affected areas. We appreciate you joining us on this show today.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
in.
inviting me. It's really, truly been a pleasure.
It's fantastic, and I would love to have you on the show again to keep us keyed in on what's happening after this, what the legislators are saying, what the local politicians are saying, what they're going to put forward. We would love to have you on the show again, if you would.
Okay, thank you so much. All right.
Okay, fantastic. LK, you have anything to say?
No, I'm good.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so the last song of the show is Shantel Sole. She's from Norfolk, Virginia. She's coming back with Take It Easy. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate you for coming to listen to us again one more week. And again, thanks to Council Member Helen Rucker for coming on the show. So until next time, guys, we out of here.
Wow. Peace.
You acting like you wanted me. Acting like you wanted me. Talking like you wanted me. Acting like you wanted me. Talking like you wanted me. You acting like you wanted me. Talking like you wanted me. I'm thinking that you feeling me. From the way you grilling me. Take it easy. Take it easy. You acting like you wanted me, talking like you wanted me. I'm thinking that you feeling me, from the way you grilling me. Take it easy, take it easy, yeah. He walked the real smooth, you know, talking slick like they do, you know. They rah like, where you come from, what you do, like, you gon' text me or not? Is you gon' reply or not? Nah, Poppy, I ain't drinking for nobody. Impress you probably out here trying to catch a body. And trust me, I ain't just anybody. But I can't lie, I really need somebody. I know I gotta what you like. That girlfriend, that wifey type. That low-key, what's up with life? I'm looking like a Mrs. Right. Can't lie, boy, you looking fly. I think I'ma make you mine. I'll show you my sweetest side. But I'm still rock that savage life. Touch my neck, then you get it. Right at that, we never split. Talking, I be giggling. Satan talking rigged. Now still have right body on the honey. You ain't gotta think twice, baby. I'm the one there. If anybody cross me, I know that you be gunning. Got his finger on the trigger. I ain't snitching, we just running. You acting like you wanted me, talking like you wanted me. I'm thinking that you feeling me, from the way you grilling me.
Listen up.
You're listening to GCOM Radio.
You acting like you wanted me, talking like you wanted me. I'm thinking that you feeling me, from the way you grilling me. Take it easy, take it easy. I'll be your bonnet, you be my Clyde. When in the face, all we do is ride. I'll be straight with you by my side. 1 in a million, finally got my prize. I'll be your bonnet, you be my Clyde. When in the face, all we do is ride. I'll be straight with you by my side. 1 in a million, finally got my prize. And Red Bull, Hennessy, let me hot full.
This is a Chicky Beat production.
It's WPRD 98.3 G-Com Radio, powered by Lyfeblood.com for the global community on the next go round from right here to your town.
You already know.
We out.